Disaster checks! And today, we're joined by my friends Benedict, Jhariel, Charlotte, and Sofia.
Hi everyone!
Today, we're going to be talking about the intermittent eruptions of Mayon Volcano way back 14 years ago. And nag-start ni siya on December 14, 2009 with phreatic explosions.
Hey, forward. Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's best that I explain to the viewers what are phreatic eruptions, since I'm familiar with the topic, and it would be useful to inform the audience who's listening here on what is a phreatic eruption. So, a phreatic eruption is a type of volcanic eruption where magma inside a volcano reacts violently with water on the surface or underground. The magma causes the water to flash to steam and creates a violent explosion that releases large amounts of ash and steam and hot gases. It's sort of like how you have a pot of oil that's been heating in the pan for a while, then you have a drop of water, or rather a cup full of water that's being poured into the hot pot. The reaction causes the water to immediately flash to spin and create a splash. So it's sort of like that, but way more violent.
So, are all the eruptions of, di ba, intermittent ne, are all of them phreatic? Or,
Well, no, they all come in different types based on what they are, based on
What happened
how
ba in
violent
2009?
the eruption is,
2009 and 10? What,
Well,
phreatic was only one type of explosion or murag kasagaran nila?
yep, definitely. But there were also reports of lava fountaining, which, to my guess, is very similar to the style of Strombolian eruptions, which have a lava fountaining as their main characteristic.
So, makikita sa dyan, na-intensify to sa dyan with continuous ash falls and hot rock falls. Then, on January 22, 2010, naay daghang pyroclastic flows ang flow down 4 kilometers from the crater, which prompted evacuations. Then, on mawa ni si Ja, then mobalik na pod kay intermittent lagi. And then, on February, nikalma na ni si Ja. O ja, pero weeks after that, mag-emit gihapon ni Zag ashfall, ja mag-cause gihapon og shaking. Munang 47,000 evacuees were advised to stay on evacuation centers, and they were given by the people of pillbox masks to protect themselves from ashes. So,
From the ash fall.
yeah, from the ashes. Yeah. What do you guys think of the emergency protocols conducted before and during the eruptions?
I honestly think that the response was very well planned and swift, especially when you consider the procedures or rather the sequence of events that happened prior to the evacuation. In fact, Philvox and the local government were busy monitoring the volcanoes for signs of activity, and you notice a large amount of rock falls, volcanic earthquakes, and gas emissions. And after a while, after the volcano began signs of large signs of unrest and ash plumes, it began showing signs of basically a lot of activity. They began to sound an alarm, prompting the volcano to have a exclusion zone around a 6 to 8 kilometer exclusion zone. But that was after they raised the alert level around the volcano from 0 to 3 to 4, which by the way, according to the volcano's volcano alert level scale, a 3 to 4 signifies a moderate to minor eruption. So basically, technically speaking, it's already an eruption, although moderate to minor. So after the exclusion zone has been in place, surrounding people near the exclusion zone or within the exclusion zone were ordered to evacuate around 47,500, like you said.
37,000, I think.
Well, technically, some figures say 50,000, some figures say 47,500. So
Basta a lot of people.
basta a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people were evacuated away from the exclusion zone to evacuation centers, which are technically schools.
So, karang I agree with Bennett sa iyang gingon nga mo na well planned yun nila ang pagkuhan sa atong evacuate o sa response kay the government really did a good job about this man gyud ko. Or was sila napasagta mo wala sila ila jud giplano og tarong para sa safety sa mga tao.
Pero ang I've read from an article manggod na naig-interview nga usa ka village leader nga his village was comprised of 262 I think residents nga bisan pag nag-notify as you said nga level 2 and 3 are minor to moderate no eruptions. And then bisan patungod ani nga notice from the government nga evacuate talagi mo ingana wag hapon sa ning evacuate.
Dili jud sila maglinaw sa.
Oh, matod pa sa like sa interview lagi ko no nag-andam ra sila og army truck and kanang nagpack ra og clothes for emergency kay para gud kuno murag mubuto na I think ang ilang definition anak kay murag like nanajay lava nga murag init nga na jud like oh my god mamatay na may murag yan siguro usa pa din sila mohawa. So I think kanang this is not entirely man jud ang government pud ma-blame kay kanang kuan man jud sa residents kay alangan mo pud lagi ilang presohon. Pero mo lagi in this part ba nga kanang siguro I can say nga mo siguro kung di sila ganahan ma-evacuate kay basig dili maadyo pud o dili maadyo lang kanang kahimtang sa kuan sa evacuation areas pero mo siguro pud nga ang ilang properties kay mabala ka sila or basin pug way tarong og hatag siguro ang government o kuan kay since wala pa man lagi na-declare as calamity
Wala pa sila funds.
o di pa sila kakuha sa calamity fund so siguro di pa sila ka-provide jud og kanang relief goods so ag residente pod siguro mabala o di ko ganahan may evacuate kay sa may lang kanon.
Maupod yun. Maupod lagi kung mahawa pa lagi sila, kung evacuate sila, ilang illegal ang property. Naturally, people will want to stay at their own property. They wouldn't want to let go of other things.
Pugit man ganit ang isbay.
Ang surrounding ato sa kuan maya kay 5 kilometers of kuan
danger
farmers
zones. Yeah,
farmers
farmers.
mo sila so ilang mga crop dito mo na ilang livelihood mo na ang ilang asa sila makatawag karta niya kung mawa ilang income kung wala sila kwarta usa may lang buhaton after ang disaster
Wa na iba, wa pa'y kwarta, wala na lang lahat.
ma-stuck na sila dito sa
Yeah.
evacuation center kung naaman sila yung rations after sa disaster what do they do?
Yeah, lagi po. Kay parehas sa audit nga what were usa may ilang tabang nato sa pagkagubos mga bahay nang hatag ragsinja. Paigo din ang tulo kasi pag okay nga imong bahay mansion, ikaw man kan ay ko ang tulo kasi og lima sang bahay. Oh, tanang sinawa.
Dito sa laman mo sa bato.
Wa man gani taga-agsin kay lami ko magbay. Ang buta lang jud.
Dilili.
Oh.
Particularly speaking, it would be technically called a state of calamity, and I don't think there's any necessary for call
I
it a
think
state of
naman
calamity.
ay criteria lagi ben.
Yeah.
Kay since nag-produce pa mag-volcanic ash fall, so di pa jud yun nga. Kuan siguro basig naka-declare sila around October siguro, November, December, mo months siya murag nagawas na jud nakita nga murag glowing hot lava nas babaw mo pa sila murag naka-declare sila pero pag August kanang September di pa sila ka-declare kay kanang volcanic ash fall pa man.
I guess so.
So technically di pa sila kahulbot lagi silang calamity fund. Mo siguro po so mo nang makaingon may nga kanang wa man pud maingon namo nagkuwang siguro og abiso kay pag napala may activity gi-raise dahil ng alert level and then nag-issue sila og evacuation notice. Siguro ang kani siguro nga ang pagstay sa mga residents kay indirectly siguro related sa government kay unsa man lagi po ilang pangkanon didto Pero siguro majority kuan gud pud ani kay sa mga tao gud no disiplina gud pud sa people. Kay kumpiyansa naman lagi pud sila nga.
Pabalik
padala jud
Kay murag ang last na eruption kay 2006 man. So kani kay 2009 to 2010. So recent sila jud. So para ba nato nga og natay mga kuan natay mga bagyo kay magkira man na.
Naanad naman lagi ko kay pabalik-balik di man day kaadyo kusog ang kuan false alarm na
Mo lagi
And
Kaya ang ijang most violent I think was 1800s pa man.
Yeah. I remember that actually.
daghan kayo
1,000 kapin.
Actually, I remember that kind
Dugay
of
na lagi po.
eruption.
dugay
Actually.
na
Actually, I remember that kind of eruption specifically, and this eruption was probably also Mayon's
Phreatic?
longest eruption. In fact, it lasted, unlike the intermittent eruptions that we see in 2009 and 2010. This was Mayon's longest major eruption, since the eruption lasted for 7 days straight and And because of how violent it was, the amount of ash it emitted was buried the town of Kasagawa, including
Mao
the
ba
church
na ang
and
nakakuan sa church kanang
yeah,
legendary
to
nga ilang
nakabury sa church. Mao to ang reason why Kasagawa Church.
landmark
Yeah.
Oh,
Mao to ang reason man to. It lasted for 7 days.
yeah.
7 days
Mo lagi
straight.
dugo yung nagud
Dugan
mo
ka
na yung more
Yeah.
awat to.
Yeah.
18 pa ka.
It's okay guys, it's not so kusog.
Mura tag 100 kung ilan daw ba?
Oh.
Like imagine 7 days.
Ay, para naman sila dito kamanwa dito nga bali digbay darang humilak.
Okay.
Yeah, and especially considering how like everybody saddening, especially when you actually consider the fact that many of the citizens in that of Kasagawa during that 7-day eruption actually hid within the church before it collapsed under the
Mo yung
under the weight of
evacuation
the ash.
center pero the evacuation center did not save them.
But I mean, technically you could say that.
Para sa
but,
ako, evacuation
I mean,
center ang
where would they even
Saudet
go
at
during that time? It
eskwelahan.
was 7 days.
Tsaka wala pakli
It
po
was
ko.
a cold time.
Mas milahan diha.
Walang
Evacuation
silbi,
center,
charot.
pero ang panansin.
Nangangatama.
Bago na. Basag mga
Lagi.
tao.
Yeah, so siguro ang regarding emergency protocols in sa imong makuan.
So, mga gino, fast ang response sa kanang LGUs nila,
Yeah.
mga kuan to alert the people jud for your safety. Pero ang kuan ra jud kay ang livelihood sa mga tao, mabiyaan, unya maglisod pud sila panginabuhi dito sa kuan
Lagi.
itself,
Kaysa
evacuation
pala
kinsa may
kwarta.
asa pa man sila kuan dito kay tara man lagi sa kanang danger zone ng ilang panginabuhi. So, manataan na. So, kayo mga naman ta sa emergency protocols before and during the eruption, diri na punta sa responses sa residents, governments o private sectors. What can you guys say about that?
Actually, labang nangita ba akong info about ana kay wala adjoy makita na sa net to scarce kayo ang ilang information sa mga articles bitaw scarce kayo ang articles news broadcast. I tried to find news broadcast on sites like YouTube but only found 2.
Yeah. Kana nang report pa.
Yes.
Mas nice na ning live if there were.
Yeah,
Pero
they were
wala.
live. I saw an article saying that the head of safety public office, Cedric Dape, said that they only have rations for the evacuees for a month. Only 1 month. And without the help of outside groups, the humanitarian and non-government groups who would provide rations for the evacuees, they would not have been able to sustain these people in the evacuation centers.
Well, in my opinion, I think it's actually pretty good that that at least there were some organizations that were at least helping in donating food to the evacuees, especially considering it's to be expected because of there's a impending disaster. And to answer your question about why there weren't many articles regarding the the event on, especially the why there wasn't much focus on the evacuees, it's probably due to the fact that social media wasn't really much of a thing. And see, at the time, since phones were still relatively new and the internet was still relatively new, it still was in its primitive stage, unlike now. And if it actually many of the also you must also consider that the news is also very 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 old. And in fact, some of the articles I got regarding the events were were actually archived, and some of those archived articles were also deleted. Some of those archived articles happened to be deleted. In fact, out of all the articles I've searched so far, three of them happen to be three of them are only found were found using the Wayback Machine, which is a special kind of
Yeah,
website that
I
allows you
also
to
went to that site.
which allows you to basically rewind to see what websites were like way back in the day. And there were only a couple of snapshots regarding the event during the time, and especially when you consider that, and when you consider that it's a really old news, and since social media isn't really much a thing. In fact, even the YouTube videos that were even the YouTube videos which are published or posted by those news agencies were either very short because YouTube isn't really much of a thing back then, or were not really popular. In fact, some of them only had a couple of views, only in the hundreds or even only in the thousands, but never up to 100,000s.
Siguro, Bennett, that actually reflects how the, let's say, private sector responded to the calamity. Technically, kay sa ilang di pag-feature, kay mas less ang murag na disseminate ang information. So, siguro po, wa ka jud hang tao nga nakahibaw, nga naon capacity or ganahan ng tamong hatag, nga wa kahibaw sa state. Kaya wa lagi media features, wa man lang siguro ambot at that time basig na apoy live nga broadcast from sa TV pero wa pud lagi siguro nakahibaw ang uban kay 2010 knowing 2010 ang murag medyo arang-arang ra jud ang live ang night TV like based pa sa mga stories atong mama nga makita-aw pa jud mig TV sa among silingan day nga na ba. So siguro po kanang mo siguro po gajud na ang murag lacking siguro sa response na in sa part sa private sector siguro nga wala ka joy feature so wa kaayo wa ka joy exposure so wa ka joy puy maingon nimo nga tabang compared sa karon nga pag feature sa Odette or sa Yolanda nga nakita jud ang devastation sa Tacloban and here sa ato nga daghan yung private sectors ang ningtabang mga news jud nga mga for example, ABS-CBN, GMA, nang hatag pod, yan na ba? So, mo siguro po na ang lacking sa private sector.
Pero kita kay ba nang tadaan ay daan jud nga. Kutabang jud daan ang gobyerno.
More respond man jud. Grabe pog di more respond.
Regarding naman sa private sectors, kanang bilang ta ka verify kay sa lahat ng information lagi.
Yeah, mao pod lagi.
Jud ang
Flow of
problema.
information in the past.
Oh.
Inay kaayo kay kaning social media nga naa karon nga usara ka segundo kung naay nahitabo nga.
Oh, nice sunod. Please call Live John.
Please,
Iba
if
ba
you
tayo
want to donate, mo Gcash number kung ganahan ka mo donate sa una kay man na.
Karon, ka nang sa una lagi.
Convenient and helpful.
Yeah.
Convenient and helpful.
Yeah, sa una kailangan pa ka for example, Palawan or magkuan jud og bank. Karon bahalag way bangko dire. So karon bahalag cellphone na di na kamulakaw makatabang na kaslaing tao bisan pas imong piso.
Mas dali pa jud ka makahatag og tabang karon.
Yeah, so very helpful ka jud ang media coverage jud nga.
Magaling kag tabang tungod kay wa ka klaro makita mo jud mo sa
post yun ang mga tao.
Karon bistag mo share lang ka og post, ma-consider naman ang atabang kay exposure.
Para habituan ang kanang mga sakit ba mga yugtabang na trend na biya na nga very helpful mga jud pod nga mga yugtabang sa mga tao kay nga naay kind heart. So mo siguro pod ang hinuon pod mo siguro pod I can tell nga wa kadyo siguro exposure for a very long time ang calamity tungod kay di kadyo like severe ang nangyari compared to for example Odette nga lang nangamatay. Actually kanang incident is by casualty I think, no? Walay patay sa intermittent kanang. No, walay patay. Yeah, no, this one like 2010 intermittent eruptions.
And especially when considering comparison to like another. And if we're staying in the topic of volcanic eruptions, the incident happened in Mayon from between 2009 and 2010 is way less than when you compare to let's say Pinatobo or Taal, even that Taal was already caused way more damage than Big Brother Mayon.
Recently pa manggod pud siya. Before sa technically 2009-2010 nga eruptions ning erupt manggod siya gikan 2006. So siguro wa ka accumulation kay na 3 years raman ang interval kay bale so siguro di pud kaadyo mo siguro pud nga wa ka media coverage ba pero igo ra nga kanang nay activity ang Mayon dyan nay evacuation tapos like 1 month na paong one features lahi jud
sila nag-expect kuan lagi
mo lagi compared of for example mga typhoons na strong or other eruptions nga kanang kusog gani so maabot yung pila ka months nga kanang unsa lang program sa ABS-CBN nga sakit ka pamilya nga mo jud kanunay feature na ba so yan na siguro so in terms siguro sa residents ilang response kay I think bisan pag was dyan na feature kay kuan or was dyan na like na outwardly jud say sa news or mga articles siguro ang ilang response kay what raw wala okay ning buto wala murag di siguro ko ka-expect based sa ilang mga based sa nakita ba nga naman gani village na kani si Opiana age 66 katong I mentioned earlier nga before katong na siya village chief si nga ko ana siya kauban sa diyang village nga 262 pero more sila gwa. So based ana nga statement siguro di ko kaingon nga ang residents tungod ani nga intermittent eruptions kay na trauma compared to like for example ubang eruptions na murag na jay kanang nanghilak jud nga na kay na trauma sa experience or mga katong nangyari nga imo wa comparison sa ka-experience man jud ta sa Odette nga nakahibaw kung naay ubang mga classmates or kailangan ng hilak or like kulbaan every time na ay manervyos o uwan o nga na nagajoy na nga na murag hap kanang duol pagani kanang murag bag-o pa to ang Odette like nervyuson jud sila og may uwan-uwan or hangin-hangin
Okay, frequent ba yung to?
Uwan-uwan pa.
nakalitan man gud ta. So I think based sa murag mga reports nga atong nakita so far murag di ko kaingon nga naay severe ang reaction ng residents.
Wala po dagi.
Yeah.
Wala po naingon nga daghang namatay at
Wa jud namatay.
Jud.
So siguro maingon nimo nga ilang response kay sige balik us life. Nangyari to okay.
Nangyari pag 2006.
So mura wara. Lagi kay nangyari mga ni 2006 ja pagkaron wa gihapon ng likas so ma-expect din mo nga nandiyan lang trapos siguro gihapon gajud ang kuan
Mga tao.
residents.
Ang last pod lagi nga eruption sa Mayon nga katong daghang namatay. Katong sa paan lagi
1800s.
pa.
Oh,
1800s.
nawa na og
Napatay na magari.
Patay na mga tao. Mga tao
Abo
pa
na.
lang abuhi
Oo, abo na. Abo na mga tao.
2009.
Lagi, right. So, siguro na yatong kuan. So, in that part, siguro lacking, right? Ang private sector sa ilang response. We can't say gajud nga tapos kay wala ko na lack of information gajud pero kanang based sa media feature so far nga to nakita wa man jud yung specific mga murag kuan for example ang GMA ng hatag ang ABS-CBN siguro ang hatag pud sila kay ini kasagaran ilang murag routine kay ug mo feature sila kay di ba murag magdapo na sila mga gamay nga relief goods nga murag mo visit na sila sa Southern Leyte kay i-feature ang Odette mga hatag na sila at the same time siguro pero ambot naman sa uban basin pag ang uban ng hatag nga gipa hilom ra nga Jhariel di ganahan pa tayo mag-expose pero ang kita man lagi kay we rely on the information online man lagi so so siguro sa government ting hatag pero as you said for 1 month lang so
Actually, kung naapa to'y uban nga outside parties nga ling hatag sa mga rations, ay kung tama kayo mangno kung wala na post,
lagi.
So overall, okay naman jud ang response sa atong government kay given naman jud nga mo response kay sila. Ang problema lang
depende po dai. Kaya na po ibang government na sinyalan.
ay lagi.
Di government.
Ang musunod
LGU, ang musunod na. Napayuban sinyalan.
Lagi.
Parehas ko starts with letter
Wait.
controversial.
Naglimot na ako.
Next time makatungog.
Wala na makadamo. Di na lang, ay na.
So, ato pong mga private sectors katong giingon ni Sofia nga humanitarian
Humanitarian lang.
nga
Humanitarian,
I mean-
non-government.
Against humans. Ibalik nga.
Non-human. Non-human.
Nga sila pod ang nagkuan gamay nga masustain tong gipanghatag sa atong government.
Enough
Pero
siguro.
kay tungod pod sa lack of coverage lagi dili pod ingon nga daghan
Na make
or
most out of it
Oh,
ba?
kay-
Malay mo namuha na pa din mo hatag si nga na pero
kay
wala kahibaw.
due to less kanang
Or wa kahibaw asa ipaabot.
kay
sa pagbiya
ang
na.
coverage lagi nga na ja kinsa po ilang makuan ato nga ang
Matagaan
ang
sa ilang part lang.
ang technology sa una kay di ba ja kuan lagi
Siguro
Not yet.
na technology
pero
pero
not
di
so
pa tanan
advanced na
panghatag.
makahatag ta dito bisag
Di,
lagi pa
technically, na may banks, jud. Ang kuwang laman, jud, kay ang mga tao gani, nga murag na,
wa
pa kayo
makaibaw sila
wa pa kayo na integrate ang social media as part of their life. Karon natural lang mo open kag Facebook. So, na di Facebook, na di kay account. Natural lang nga at age of 10 karon na kay Facebook account. Before, 15 pa ka na ay kuan or 20 na ka na FB.
Kaya bisa
Kaya
ka
ba?
hindi mo kaila. Maluoy ka, i-post man mo.
share
Share na lang pinaging tabang. Kaya na part naman ko just routine.
Ngayon ba, wala kayo mo gitabangan na. Sikat pa siya.
So, naghihap social media sa una pero dili pa laman ingon nga integrated jud nga everyday nga atong part na sa itong routine.
Oo nga, makapakuan sa mga information mo. Na din na nga nanganglan og
Ultimo na
tabang.
isunog i-post dahil
Oo.
sa una kay tawag pa man ko ano mo tabang karon kay binay mapuan hala gipicture na jud ang nabunggo jud kuan magyaw.
Kinsay ganahan mo tabang.
Asa man dapit? Para makakuha sa dajon.
Oh, Gcash mo lagi.
So, manata sa ilang responses adto. How about ang ilang changes in protocols after the event? O how did this disaster left a mark on the people's lives?
Well, obviously, it won't be like a calamity is a question, because if it was an exact calamity, it would definitely leave a psychological scar on an emotional scar on them. But this is something that happens often near Mayon.
So,
it
dito
won't
ka mag-expect
yeah.
na nakulibog emotional.
Yeah, but it does give them
Like,
give them a little bit
Yeah.
of a reminder that
Yeah.
that even if it's something that they're used to, it shouldn't be taken lightly.
Yeah.
On the safety side, you can say that there's no improvements in monitoring and planning when it comes to evacuating citizens in the case of a major eruption, and of course monitoring the volcano for any activity. In fact, if you take a look at Mayon's recent eruptions, there are little almost no casualties associated with
Yeah.
Mayon erupting. In fact, it has been like that. It's in fact it has even reached a point that very recently you can even see some tourists actually visiting the volcano while it's erupting. But of course, the safety is still a bit questionable, and especially if you consider that it might be sensitive for the residents who, I don't know, evacuating from something that could potentially blow up.
Yeah.
On the other hand, kay since sa topic man to na to ganiha sa
Yeah.
media coverage nga. So na lagi
katong
hinay pa
direct
jud
na.
kaadyo. So na
Ibigay ang
may
help.
TV po gamay ra po, by phones karon kay lahi naman jud kay tanan na TV, na cellphone bisag mga bata na cellphone, mga tiguang pod na po phone. Ja dako po jag tabang jud ang media jud karon kay lahi.
Dali
Ma-disseminate ng
Okay,
information.
kita na something karon nga nahitabo.
karon jud ma-receive ang news.
Pwede ka na lang mahibaw-an, makatabang sila dajon, makaganap sa tanan.
Nanay Gcash.
Hindi lang po diri ra tanan jud po kay social media lahi naman jud po
Napay-
Sa asa
Tanan
na
na.
abot, global na jud halos.
Beto.
Global grid.
Yeah, pero then as you said Bennett earlier na mas improve na jud ang technology. O gajud kanang murag improve na gajud kay based on an Inquirer report, news report published on October 28, 2009. So nag-start og pakitag signs di ba ang Mayon on August. So this is more or less 2 months after the katong said nga nagkitag signs ang Mayon. The current volcanologist ato nga time was Mr. Eduardo Laguarte. He said that the PHIVOLCS would need to install at least 2 more seismographs aside from their current na 4. Kaya at that time, 2009, 2010, kay 4 pa lang seismographs. So, ning issue si Jhariel nga statement pag October 29, 2009 nga mag-add pa gajud unta og 2. So, mo siguro pud na nga as you said earlier nga mas improve na gajud ang kanang volcano detecting system nila sa pag-detect og any activities. Kay of course kanang it's been pila ka years, 14 years na from the incident. So grabe gajud pug wala
Wag
install, wag
hapon.
hapon, wow. Nga na ba?
Sa ni
Yeah, sa Muna nga kanang on the other hand, aside from the safety measures and the media coverage which are very also natural, we can't deny nga ning improvement gajud pud na si bisan pag as much as we like to bash gakaan pero when talking about recently there was bagyong Rolly struck Albay on 2020 and then kanang it caused mud flow of lahar in Albay which buried I think 300 households and killed 300 and killed 5 or 6 people because of the mud flow
there
of
were
lahar.
casualties.
Yeah. Pero dili ni siya ingog directly because of volcano. Kaya tungod ni siya sa bagyo. Pero daghang ning kuan ang residents ning hypothesize gajud pod and murag valid man gajud pud ang hypothesis nga tungod siya sa quarrying activities happening 7 km around Mayon, 7 km radius. Kay nagmudflow man og lahar and then mag-expect man gud kag quarrying ma-disturb jud ang natural
nga
geologic
state nila.
natural geologic and kanilaging nag-quarry man sila volcanic ash, kaning volcanic ash kay magamit lagi sa construction nga kung ano siya nga materials for cement and etc. And then kasabot man po ko nga good po siya for the economy of Albay kay mo man lagi po ilang biggest money generating or mo ilang
Makahatag og job.
makahatag og job or
mga
activities sa mga people nga naa dito. Pero kanang to think ba nga Mayon is one of the most active or even the most active in the Philippines nga dili jud nila i-regulate ang kuan ang quarrying activities nga nangyari dito akay to think nga from 15 I think in 2015 nga quarrying companies, not quarrying companies, pero construction companies nga nag-conduct of quarrying activities, kay nahimo na siyang 100 into 2020. 2020, nahimo na siyang 100. So, na medyo kuan ra nga di niya i-regulate ang mga nga na activities nga it's in around Mayon jud. And then pagkahuman pa kanang kay pag nangyari atong incidents daghan lang ko ang mga residents nga basi to is quarrying na so ang the government was forced to respond to the kuan nga gi-stop sa nila ang tanang activities sa quarrying so stop ang tanan those 100 and then bago pa nahibaw-an kay nag-investigation man lagi tungod atong happening unya mo nang pag-investigate 100 at kanang ang 15 ato nga mga quarrying active kanang mga companies kay illegally operating paso ang permit ating diba lagi mo lagi nga kanang so ugwa pa nagbagyong Rolly jawa nakakausa bad flow wa pa namatay wa pa nabari ang 300,000 continue tag operating kay wa man lagi mag-ingon so mo lagi na ikakuanan nga na there were actually 91 kono ka quarry operators ang na-compliant and 106 ang total nga quarrying and 15 were suspended mo nang 91 kono ang naay kanang murag okay pa ang permit. So murag after ato nga murag investigation nga na gibalik ra pud og kanang operate ang 91 kay 15 man ang murag paso ang permit niya. 91 is a lot. 91 is a lot.
Turang 15 ang nakasa.
Mo lagi daw po ta kahibaw if katupong 91 kay on legal basis gadyo po to ang kanang ilang mga permits kay wa ta kahibaw gitunulan na ng unsa ng Poncio Pilato dira gitunulan 50 million na kay permit. Ayan na ba? So mo yang kakuanan nga ngano mang dili kayo ma-regulate ang kuan. Okay, nabiya na sila copy siguro sa permits, di ba? In-file na sila copy so makahibaw sila karon sa ang ma-expire. So unta annually unta gajud na ba i-check and then unta hibaw man ko nga nagajud unta na dapat i-satisfy nga mga kanang criteria na para maka-quarry mo. Pero 91 I think 91 is a lot within 7 km radius.
Lagi no. Grabe na gajud. Kana jud pud siguro kana bitaw kwarta or connection lagi nga makapadagan ra jud so ingan na. Like, for example, parehas amo ba? Like not to certain nga kuan nga nay connection sa kanang last term nga kuan na nakapa-operate sila sa ilang quarrying didto dapit sa salog sa community sa amo. Unya, syempre tungod nga na ang natural nga urag support sa juta mga kuan nakubkob na nila na breakdown ja ang kadto sila nga area of quarrying kay nasa sa salog so ja ang kalsada nasa ibabaw dito sila sa ubos ng kubkob bali pag audit ag katong tubig nga imbis kay mo bandara sa katong naras ubos nga mga bato mga unsa pa nang juta nga kanang nagkuan sa support sa kalsada sa ibabaw maunay na diretso og igo sa sug sa tubig so kay balurag ang kalsada na kubkob jud siya pagkuan mo tong pag after sa audit kadto sa nga kalsada na naguba jud siya nawad-an mi og kanang transportation ato nga time pas lang lisuda gajud no unya to think nga diretso ra nag-allow nila nga daghang na usa waton pa gid daghang na apektuhan usa mas stop kay kana lagi kwarta kanang kuan og mupunta nag mga tao usa pa sila mo
lagi pareho pud sa kuan nga kung wa ning daghang ning alsa nga basic related sa quarrying wa pud gisuspend ang 106.
Oo,
Pero daghang gyapon nabili.
Ang daghang 91 still.
91.
Oh, what ang kahibaw?
Sa
This is from news nga 2020. What ang kahibaw 2024
double
na
na
1 million ang kabaka quarrying activities.
Oh,
What ang kahibaw?
imagine, katurang sa ilaha nga, quarrying ato sa ilang community kay ning breakdown na ang
Oh, tungod ra sa
nga, imagine na adto sa the most active volcano.
Budya, og
Oh.
mapaalan to.
91 quarrying sites. It's absurd to think about.
Yeah.
Ang daghan na.
yeah.
Like, kadto pa lang usa nga quarrying activity sa ang dako. Devastating ka.
Oh, daki sa tag-ija.
Ay.
Ay!
Okay.
Ay! Kisay tag-ija ang May.
Okay.
So, huna-hunaon, Jud. Of course, mo assume Jud nagtao nga related tong quarrying.
Oh, kay
Lahars.
Oh.
Kay maka-disturb man sa
Oo,
natural
ang
state
galing
sa ano.
kayo. Imagine, 91.
Oh.
But
Like specifically ha from mga bay, I'm going to read you this kanang kuan this part sa ilang kuan nga. Kanang actually ko no the number of quarry operators in the province jumped to more than 100 from only 25 in 2017. This is report in 2020 ni, so pag 2020 100, 2017 is only 25.
Saan ka
Oh. And around the same time that PHIVOX proposed the provincial government to ban quarrying within the 6 km permanent danger zone. So actually, PHIVOX proposed a murag law siguro nga i-ban ang quarrying within 6 km danger zone. Ilan yung i-propose sa government of Albay, LG of Albay, I mean. Pero, Albay rejected this. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is from Mungabay. Yeah. The PDZ or Permanent
Year
Danger
lang
Zone 2020 ni Kibali. The PDZ or Permanent Danger Zone is defined as the area where life-threatening dangers like rockfalls or sudden eruptions are deemed to be permanent threat. The provincial government did not take up this proposal.
So
Yeah.
basically, they ignored the PHIVOX warning.
Oh, nga ni ang
They
PHIVOX
know
lagi
better,
nag
ba?
like
permanent
ni-propose
na
ani.
siya. It's
Oh.
not like the threat
Jurisdiction
within
nila.
within that place is gonna
Oh.
change. No,
Jackie,
it's
sa may-
permanent.
Jackie sa may maapektuhan ani ang kanang mga lowest ang mga construction workers di ng mga CEO ana nga tos opisina lang pa aircon og sig dawat og milyones. Kisa may mga matay ani ang kanang imong papa nga nanginabuhi dira diyan ang inadlawan 300 ra. Kisa may madatong mabulahan katong dos opisina.
Kato nakasakyan.
Nakasakyanan og unsa pa ba ng lilac color. Katong mo ata og F1 Formula Race.
Wow.
Airplane.
Kato mga nakatay nilang anak sa Taylor Swift na
Open of concert, naka-helicopter.
Oh, wait.
Lain na.
Wait,
lain na.
specific.
Lagi, mga, nato, nang lagi, kay ka ng ilang
Lagi
business.
pero kanang ambot nga kanang nga nung wa man hinuon din to think had ang I think after 2010 nga eruption na ang next eruption is 2018, right? Not eruption pero like murag
Activity
eruption ba?
Yeah, it erupted severely in 2018. In
Yeah,
fact,
yeah.
If you take a look at the eruption 2018, it was incredibly violent. Not only there was a large ash plume, but there were
Yeah.
pyroclastic flows racing
And
out
this is
of the
in
mountain.
2020. So after ni si Ja 2020 man yung bagyong Rolly. So kanang 2018 ning erupt na si Ja awara. Pag pagani 2 years after kuan 2018 nga eruption si gihapon quarrying. Wag gihapon
Nagubay lang
regulate.
ako.
Ja kauman 2020 di mo po diri ang kuan. 2020 ba ni?
Di matagam.
Around the same time, yeah. No, this is no. In this bill was proposed in 2019. Yeah.
Nila sumte.
This bill was proposed by PHIVOX to the LGU of provincial government of Albay to ban the quarrying activities within 6 km radius. So a year lang after the 2018 siguro 2018 na eruption, so wag hapon ilagi hapon gikuan unsa man jud ilan ga jud nga kwarta jud unsa pa man day lain nganong di man nila nga within jud 6 km permanent danger zone. Tag to anas siguro di man nagipud-pudig layo kay asa ra man moabot ang volcanic ash na mo just dool.
Oo.
Wa na may moabot nga volcanic ash siya. For example 8, 9, 10, 20 nga na. So ano jud sila mag-quarrying sa 6 km? Nga na ba?
Technically speaking about, you mentioned about lahars, right?
Yeah.
Technically speaking, lahars are mostly caused by basically ash mixing with rainfall or snow.
Yeah.
It can occur before, basically after an eruption or when a volcano is erupting. Basically, it has a very similar consistency to wet cement, and it can only occur during basically periods of heavy rain. Like we said, it's just bugging release. So I think it has to do with mostly about bugging rolling because again, it's a natural process. But then again, I do agree with one thing. Quarrying can increase the chances of
Yeah.
one
Pero it's
occurring.
not the sole contributor.
Yes.
Kaya ang rolling man po lagi kay is it typhoon?
Yeah, it's a super typhoon.
Yeah,
actually,
super
basically.
typhoon. So mo siguro pod nga kusog ang rain deposit, water deposit mo na nga
Ah.
naka-instigate gid pud sa mud
Mud
flow.
flow.
Pero nagahapoy contribution ana ang kuan.
It actually had a very strong
quarrying
wind speed as well,
yeah.
diba? Like it was actually on the same level as Yolanda, if you think about it. Actually,
Really?
yeah, 196 miles per hour, while Yolanda's 195.
Mas kusog daw.
Only by 1 mile per hour, not really noticeable. Pero
What
kusog
is
pa.
this year? 2020 bagyong Rolly, 2013 was Yolanda.
Yes. So it was basically, but basically, I do agree that quarrying can increase the chance of erosion, especially when you consider what happened in the Philippines. Quarrying, nagkatan mga baha, mga
Yeah.
landslide. And when I'm already seen the devastation that
Unstable gid siguro po ang yuta sa ilawom kay na-disturb lagi sa mga unsa pa
Oh,
mga
yeah,
bakul,
yeah.
unsa pa ba ng mga
yeah.
drill.
Oh, ang support sa
Natural
natural
ilawom matandog kay ba biya ka.
Yeah, and it's I
Naman
already
ni
seen
fault
the-
line ng Albay
Yeah, actually, it's actually lots of fault lines actually.
because of fault line.
It's an earthquake prone area as well. Also,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a. I've already seen it. Back to the quarrying thing, I've already seen like destruction of one quarry. What one quarry can do, especially a large one.
Yeah.
But having 90, even small, but still 90 over 90 quarries near a volcano's exclusion or danger zone,
Lagi.
which by the way, the volcano again is the most active in the
Yeah.
Philippines, even more active than Pinatubo.
Kasi yung pinaka-recent
Tubo.
na ano.
It's the
Na-
2023 eruption actually.
That's J2023 right, Mayon.
Yeah, in fact, it had
Katong
several
nakipagdungan
thousand.
sila sa Alba, katong murag na
Oh,
active.
and Canlaon, and
Then
Canlaon.
murag na, oh.
And Canlaon, and
Baba
Canlaon.
pa na nasa
Yeah.
later.
Or nakakuan
Technically,
ko
there
sa una nga.
Di ba? Ang last, ang before po just 2023 was 2018. O, gamay lang interval. Dahil hindi pa rin sila natuto. Ano ba yan?
It actually has an interval of once every seven
Business
to
lagi.
4 years, diba?
Nakaugod ng kwarta.
And
Construction.
by the way,
mga tao ron
by the way,
sigbay.
the simultaneously activity
Pero
between
ang construction.
volcanic activity between Canlaon and Taal and Mayon has no relation. But anyway, it's kind of a bit, back to the quarry again. It's kind of ridiculous how long, like I didn't even know nga there was quarrying this much quarrying in Taal and Mayon to begin with. Like,
Yeah.
how is that even
Because I
possible?
searched it nga if naabay mining. Kaya of course, naghunahon ako nga nasa mining. Kaya of course, you know,
Because of
from my
natural
science,
mineral.
atong mga STEM powers nag-work. So, wala mo ko nakitang mining. So, janing appear man siya nga na di quarrying. Nga ang volcanic ash lagi for construction. Then, kuan bi karon ang mga tao sigbay, ang mga bay jud ron di ra yung makontinto og nga na simento jud.
Simento naman.
Nga na ba o kanang murag o yun magpajug-pajag murag tan-awon ka nga murag uy nga na wala ka kanang kusog ka jud siya. Jud.
Pero still, grabe na yung quarries on the near explosion. So, what
Okay,
if the
asa baka
volcano?
mangitag volcanic ash.
Yeah, but
Ana man yun na wa man siguro
Yeah.
yung volcanic ash diri as kuan kay di man ni sige kuan di ba?
Yeah.
Kanang
I understand only a few-
Aso jud sila kakuha
Yeah,
jud
yeah.
daghan.
but I can only understand like 10 or 20 na regulated.
Yeah.
Na
25
regulated.
pag 2017.
Yeah.
Jump to 106 pag 2020.
It's a recipe for disaster. What if the volcano will erupt like
And then
in
15 ana sa 106
Sagawa?
kay kuan.
Yeah.
Legal permit. Dawa pa ta kay Baus 91 og kuan ba na true ba na?
Oh.
Yeah.
Ning agi ba dun
Wa
sa
ila na to
Fireworks.
Mikos.
It's a recipe for disaster because
Mikos sa Manila.
what if the volcano is especially a recipe for disaster because you have so many people working
Yeah.
in it, you know.
Ya ang mga
you know.
taga dira na pud trabaho.
Because what if the volcano happens to erupt like in Kasagawa or in 2018? And,
Oh, sila ra
yeah,
pud
and please look, Raba, kay Bauta sa 2018 eruption, Raba. There was pyroclastic flows, Raba,
Yeah.
that's very good or far-reaching. So what if the volcano did the same thing but at 2018 again, while the people were erupting, and plus there was little to no warning? Or what if,
Pas ba yan? Ano?
especially considering how there is an unpredictability factor in volcanoes, like there was back to the 2010-2009 eruption. There's probably a legitimate reason why they evacuated give an opinion because they have no way of knowing when Mayon was going to
Erupt,
erupt like tsunami. Like, what if the volcano was like, oh, it's gonna be like 2009,
Oh,
2010,
kay
like that,
August
like
man
normal.
siya murag kuan, murag nagpakitag signs pero murag mo pa dun siya nagpagawas pa og murag kanang lava ba na inigawas no?
Yeah.
Phreatic pa to nga.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
murag pag kuan na jud October, November, December, January, mga pasidya nag-start.
Yeah, like what if like in Mayon was to be like that like before 2009, like it will just be like 2009.
Oh,
just
marag
mining.
kuan na.
Then all of a sudden, without warning,
Palit.
Bukalit just become 20
Oh.
eruption like in the 1800s or the eruption in 2018. Pyroclastic flows racing down the mountain. Daghan mga lava flow, daghan mga ash. Unja, there are
Ambot
people
pa na
working there.
pinagdagan.
Oh, bitaw.
Yeah.
Mas agta na ka sa ash, buwa pa tong lava. Pero ang imong lang
Naraman yung mga parabolic
Mao
mga
gani.
debris.
Oh.
And that's not even the
Isla
worst
ng
part of
Dayon.
that. That's just the pyroclastic flow. There's also
Yeah.
another variant called the pyroclastic surge. But unlike it's similar to pyroclastic flow. Like it's clouds of ash and hot gas running down the mountain. But unlike pyroclastic flow, it basically works less like a fluid. Kaya pyroclastic flows work like a
More
fluid.
viscous.
They're just limited to the valley. They can't climb over mountains. They basically run down the mountain like a fluid. But surges, they can actually detach from the surge they flow with. In fact, they have also the capability to go over hills, even mountains. Meaning, even if you're not in the path of the pyroclastic flow, the surge can still get you as it can move independently from the
Unpredictable.
it can move independently from the flow. So if the flow is like this way, and
Mo ari
flow is like
liba.
this, the surge might go over whatever reach the flow was restricted to, and will go over the reach over there where the pyroclastic was limited to, and it will go through unsuspected people. It will happen actually before with other volcanoes.
So, inunod, yun no. Ang paano yung mga business, kanang mga, ano lagi, mga top dogs, or sa daghang mga, daghang mga kwarta nga gamiton, ang desperation bitaw sa tao para makakita, magkakwarta, magka-income, nga, gamiton na, para silang pamilya nga, tanawa dito, nagtrabaho ko sa volcano, mamaw, tayo ko,
Added po na so nung kumpiyansa malaki na dito.
Oo.
Wala mo okay. Ang pagbawa po ta kay bawal lagi kay we don't know what type personal statements from
Pero, hindi ko alam, gipili na nga, gitake advantage. Gitake advantage, gabi ko sila, desperation code, which leads them to actually work near the volcano that they know it's very active, very dangerous, na na-chance ka. Kung mo, erupt na ganyan eh. Sila makatakas, dito na ang kaulan.
They're lucky it's not like they're lucky that the volcano is not like it's not as severe like I don't know like Mount there's a volcano in Greece. I met there I think it's the name is Simeru, and basically has pyroclastic flows on a daily basis, and it's basically much more severe like Mayon, and although there was no mining of ash, it has it's constantly producing pyroclastic flows. And it's clouds of ash. Yeah, obviously like that. But because some people of my undermining the dangers, it still poses. They're risking their lives just to mine ash for construction. But I mean, I could understand just a few virgin quarries that are regulated and are constantly updated with field books. But the quarries, that's too much already for field books to monitor and to regulate.
Sa to, 2017 or 2018, alay ko sa buo. 2020, 2024 na tama.
I believe we should go back to 25 quarries a month. Or
That was strict na regulations para
let's go back to 25, much better naman. Or if better yet, just go 15 big ones.
So, taanay. From the points that we tackled, point 1 where
we emergency protocols
what
before,
about
right?
yeah. Is it a hit or a miss for you guys?
Quite a hit.
Hit or a hit?
Well, yeah, they do act very fast. Yeah.
Hit or fire naman. Ikaw, Mel.
I guess if you think about it, on the people's side, it's mostly a hit.
Yeah.
Mostly hit. But once you talk about the
When you talk about the people actually,
It's a
specifically
miss.
misjudge ang
Miss.
people.
May wala sila na minaw.
May wala
Sa
pero
protocol.
sa government malagit ang as
government.
government.
Pas sila ko
Wala sila nagkulang. Ang people rin siguro ang medyo kahit
Okay.
Ikaw.
Yeah, for government response, it's mostly like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hit. Hit. Next.
Yay.
Okay.
For point number 2, it was the
aftermath response of the residents,
private sectors and the government.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of a...
Miss.
Sa una nga kung ano mong...
Sa una.
From the outer groups, I would say it's a hit and they actually have fun. Yeah, because of the limited information, a lot of people could do that. But for the government, with the only 1 month,
Pero
pero
naman naman yung 47,000.
yes, pero
Pero naman gadget ko na yung budget per
Alam
kuan,
mo.
per allotted para nila.
Limited relative.
Correct kanang kuan kanang para ba gibuhat sa uban pag audit na ipangkuhaan ang ubang budget sa ubang party para itapak sa kuan sa audit. Lagi nga naman ang uban.
so if we talk about
Miss.
during that time,
Yes.
ako nakaparo, pero sa una yan.
Miss.
Miss po para ako. May same point bro.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well,
Aftermath.
judging by I think it's mostly. Oh, you mean the like the
Aftermath
official
responses
recognition.
of the
No, the
residents,
second point.
private sector,
Okay.
the government.
Yeah, it's mostly a hit for me.
Hit for you.
Yeah.
Same na po na sa government.
Okay.
So, for the point number 3, where we talked about the protocols, changes in protocols after the event, unsa ang effects, aning at naglib sa mga tao,
Yeah.
para ninyo. Is it a hit or
Miss. Tawad sa quarrying.
Yes, if we talk about the
Miss.
boring, it's a big miss. But
Yeah,
if we talk
miss
about
po.
the protocols,
Isa ka ng technology.
technology, hit to, ano
Hit.
ba? Hit of
it's a hit.
miss.
Yes,
Hit or miss. That's pa na ni kantaan.
copyright.
And that's why it's
Uy.
a bit hard for me because part of me want to say it's a hit because it's good for people, of course. But part of me also say it's a miss because, of course, the quarry, of course, the one thing. So. But if you have to choose, I guess I will go with the miss part.
Mag-isip mo agad yung puto. I tried mag-good looking at kanong sila mga program na for disaster readiness and risk reduction. Pero kung may lagi breakdown, lagi ano silang budget, I tried looking if may increase nilang budget during the eruption.
What info?
Confidential sa
I don't know. Kaya ganahan ako makita ka, for example, 2009, 2010, kaya nag-eruption. Basta sa 2009, gamay ilang budget, pero pag 2010, ilang kita ang kanilang budget for disaster preparedness, yan na ba? So, wamang kayo makita ang available online, siguro na silang, I don't know, pero as I did my research, ako nakita na online. Eh, ang easily accessible naman kaya, nationwide man budget. O may specific sa municipality o Balbay, kung government ba.
hit or miss.
Miss na lang.
Yeah. Pero, lagi. Technology, okay naman po yung improvement so far.
Pero sa mga technology, yung kanan ng farming.
Okay naman po. Kahit sa mga, yeah. So, labi na kita kay very brutal ng typhoon. Sige na yung tuan, daghan na yung mga expected na, sige yung uwan pa.
So basically, they advance ato technology that helps in the world.
Jawa na po.
Advance mo na ito technology. Nakita mo po itong quarry. So,
Tanang
guys.
Pinoy Jud, charot.
Hindi yun.
Kanya-kanyang interest.
So, that's all for today. How about for you guys? Is it a miss